Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hey Hester, how's it going? How are the audio levels? Can you hear me okay? The game sounds okay? Great, thanks. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, actually. I was supposed to have a day off tomorrow, ended up working, but today I haven't been called in, so that's good. We'll take a few minutes and just let some more people trickle in if they're going to join. Hey Wind, how are you? Hey, there's Bayofish. Yeah, I guess in the current environment, it's better to have too much work than not enough. That's how I feel about it, anyway. As long as I'm busy, there's more chance that I'll be gainfully employed. Okay, well, it looks like we have a few people here now. I think I can go ahead and get started. Alright, so first and foremost, I kind of want to get some quality of life things addressed here. First of all, I did change my hotkey for my mic. So every time I hit the shift key, the mic shouldn't cut out this time. And to test that out, let's take this Forsworn arrow that we pulled out of our cranium. And I think we're going to rename this. I think we're going to carry this around with us. And just as like a reminder of what happened and kind of as a curiosity. Jagasta did happen upon that Forsworn encampment as a his curiosity of their spirituality and the weird totems kind of got the better of him, and I think he's going to remain curious, probably even more so now that he got attacked by them, because like, what are they protecting, you know? Not being able to explore something makes this cat much more curious about what that something is. So we will rename this Strange Totemic Brain Poker. And that's odd that it's giving us a weird iron arrow sheath as opposed to the actual Forsworn arrow model, but yeah, that's alright. That's fine. Can you still hear me? Just making sure that the hotkeys got updated. This will be great. Great. All right. So that is probably the biggest technical hurdle that we encountered last time. So that is great to cross off the list and wipe off the plate there. Okay. So the next couple things I want to do is take care of my hotkey situation here. And if any of you remember some of Stu's more Let's Play videos featuring Shadeling, he did a lot of switching between magic and unarmed, and he had a nice little trick for being able to switch from equipping a spell in his hands to having empty hands, which is more challenging than you would think because there is not really a way to hotkey empty hands, at least in my current setup. So we are going to be using an iron dagger and the lightest shield I can find, which I think... hey Magus, good to see you were able to join. The lightest shield that I know of is the hide buckler. So I will search for that. Oh, and there's my... Jackson's renamer hotkey popping off there. That's okay. So we're going to add a hide buckler, not a dragon hide buckler, that's a little overkill. And there it is. We're going to add that to our favorites, and then we're going to assign hotkeys to both of these. We are going to make sure those are on our favorites list, and then we're going to do 1 for the buckler and 2 for the iron dagger. And the way this works is that shields always are equipped to your left hand, and they will never be equipped to your right hand, at least through a hotkey. So if you activate that hotkey twice, it will have the effect of equipping and unequipping that hand, that left hand, which when you unequip it, it will leave the left hand empty. And the same with the iron dagger. If you equip it and unequip it, it'll leave the right hand empty, because that's where it goes by default when you equip it. So the next part of this is I have to go into my MCM menu and set up my controller hotkeys for this, so I can get to my empty hands as soon as possible if I need to throw knucks at somebody, you know. Okay, so I think just to make this quick and easy and simple, shield will be left D-pad single press. So let's get that set up. That was hotkey 1. Empty left hand. And single press right for the iron dagger, which was hotkey 2. Empty right. There we go. So now I have a way, without taking my hands off the controller, to empty out my right and left hands. And we'll give that a test real quick here. Okay, so let's say we have Conjure Familiar in the left, we have Lesser Ward on the right. Okay, so we can't even cast Conjure Familiar yet. That's good, because I can find some kind of roleplay mechanic to go along with that ghostly wolf. And then we have the ward in our right. So now, if I tap the left directional button once, it's going to put the hide buckler in his left hand. Tap it twice. I got an empty hand. Same with the iron dagger in the right. Now we have empty hands. Awesome. And I think I hit the hotkey to keep the head tracking pose. There we go. That's why he was making that. He had that funny twist in his neck. Okay, so the other thing is the Lesser Ward. That's the only thing we can use right now because of our Magicka pools being limited. So let's go ahead and set up a hotkey for that as well. Our next available hotkey is 3, so we'll set that. Go back into our Gamepad++ MCM. And I like to reserve the down button on the D-pad for the defensive options. I would like to get some flesh spells. Oh, was there buff? Okay, seems like Magus is ISP then, if nobody else is seeing any buffering. Alright, well that sucks. ISP troubles, or, you know, maybe it's just a traffic spike in your area. Interesting. Okay. Balefish and Magus doesn't look like anybody else, but if it's very small, I think we can work with that. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I would like to get some flesh spells. I think that fits kind of with the iron body technique of the Shaolin Kung Fu stuff. But for now, all we have is the ward. So I think a single press down on the D-pad will be great for our wards, just in case, you know, we come across some magic that we need to get through. We also do have the option of dodging past magic if we have to. But the wards have a little more utility to it in that it will stay up as long as your Magicka pool doesn't run out, and the invincibility that we get from the dodge is only 0.6 seconds as we set it up last time, so it gives us more options, I think. Okay, so, oh, I should set the description on that too. Ward, like Beaver's father. Okay, there we go.
It's not much, but I was thinking you might like to have this.
So there's our ward. It automatically goes into the left hand. If we equip that again, it doesn't unequip. It just goes into the next hand. That's why we can't just equip and unequip a spell in a hand to empty it out. And I think... So you see how we have that iron dagger equipped? I think I want to disable show favorites. So that was actually an old mod. That is in visible favorited gear here. That's a power to turn that off. There we go. Nice. Okay, so we kind of got our quality of life gameplay stuff set up. His hair looks darker than I remember it from last stream. Once we get into a better lighting situation, I might tweak his appearance just a little bit. Right now it's kind of tough. It's either between the washed out Night Eye or sort of the dark inn with just the fire to guide us. But yeah, that's the gameplay stuff taken care of. So we can get into story a little bit, maybe some roleplay mechanics that I've decided on, and just general theme and tone and pace for this series, I think. So I did some research into the Khajiiti and their spirituality and their relation to Akatosh. So if you remember from last time, Jagasta is a follower of Akatosh. And Akatosh is sort of... he's pretty much the same across every culture's pantheon, it seems. He is the chief deity of most pantheons. He is the dragon god of time in pretty much all of the pantheons. So what I'm thinking for Jagasta, especially since I don't know if there is even going to be dragons in this game, and if there are, I don't even know if Jagasta is dragonborn because of our Unbound settings. I'm thinking the way to take for this is that the Alkosh, which is what the Khajiiti call Akatosh. Alkosh worship is sort of like the default worship. It's sort of like every Khajiiti who is sort of non-denominational spiritual, but maybe not completely religious, doesn't go to church all the time, doesn't really have a well-defined sense of religion, might just de facto say, oh, I worship Akatosh. Kind of like a non-denominational Christian in a lot of the Western societies. I think that works. Because the other main deity that I have on this version of Winter Sun that I'm running is the Riddle thar, which I think will fit this character a lot more. Jagasta is on a spiritual journey. He seeks understanding of his own spirituality and sort of the true spirituality of the world and how he relates to that. So later on in his journey, I would like him to discover the Riddle thar shrine or totem. I do know where that is. I have encountered it on other playthroughs, but I'm not going to go out of my way with this character to find it right away. The Riddle thar seems like more of a set of guidelines than it is a deity to worship. The definition of it, I haven't gone into great detail yet in my research, but basically it sort of mandates a rotational switch in power between a lot of the different kingdoms in it's either the northern, I think it's the southern part of Elsewhere. And sort of through chaos, they find order. A lot of equality. A lot of people seem to be very happy with that system down there, and that has kind of replaced worship of Alkosh in a lot of places as sort of more the de facto religion of a lot of Khajiit. Also, the Riddle thar gives a lot of bonuses to unarmed combat and things like that, so gameplay-wise, it will actually really fit with this character a lot better. But I'm trying to save that for later. I want to encounter that shrine a little more organically, if that makes sense. Also, regarding Alkosh, a part of the myth goes that he was destroyed by a sibling entity known as Akka, or the followers of Akka, or the children of Akka. So the monomyth for like creation that most people and most religions actually in Tamriel kind of subscribe to as how reality was created. You had your Anu and you had your Padome, which the Khajiit called Anur and Fadome. They had a kid named Akka, who was basically a traveling rock star. He went all over his current plane of reality and mated with everything. He couldn't keep it in his pants. Anything that moved and a lot of things that didn't, he got freaky with. And he made a lot of weird things in the process. And that kind of refers to, you know, demons and angels alike. So Aedra, Daedra, just a lot of really powerful entities that Khajiit people may or may not find on their paths. And then Alkosh came along, and he got these guys into line, all of Akka's children. Made sense of them, and that's how he kind of became the chief deity of everything. And as such, he sort of protected mortal people from the dangerous whims of Akka's children. But at some point, Akka's children managed to destroy Alkosh, and it was Kinnereth, and I don't remember the Khajiiti equivalent of Kinnereth, but it was Kinnereth who gathered up the pieces of Alkosh and put them back together. By the way, when Alkosh was destroyed, that was how the Khajiit people explained the dragon break that took place during that time. Apparently it lasted for over 1,000 years, all kinds of weird stuff happening, but Kinnereth is the one who put Alkosh back together and sort of restored order to the world, fixed the dragon break, and brought Alkosh back. So the upshot of this is that I think Jocasta will have quite a reverence for Alkosh. He will have quite the reverence for Kinnereth as well. But I think later on he will find that he is more aligned with the Riddle thar. Sound good? Now, as far as tone and how I'm going to play and how I would like to see this story go, is I've been watching some old episodes of Kung Fu with David Carradine. It's a show from the 70s, but in my opinion, it kind of holds up pretty well. It's still very entertaining. It's kind of cheesy just because of, you know, production value and things like that. But basically, if you're not familiar with it, there is a Shaolin monk who was an orphan child named Kwai Chang Caine. He was taken in by a Shaolin temple because his father and mother had both died. He had nowhere to go. He was half Chinese. His father was American and his mother was Chinese, so he was already kind of an outcast. And he was trained in the ways of the Shaolin. And at some point, when he had outgrown his stay, when he was able to snatch the pebble from his master's hand, he was ousted. Not really in any kind of malicious way, but he was sent out to kind of find his own path. Once he was able to snatch the pebble from his master's hand, that's when his master knew that he was able to go take care of himself and go do some good in the world. At some point, he had a run-in with the Emperor's son, protecting a group of farmers, and ended up killing the Emperor's son in hand-to-hand combat. And that's when he sort of had to flee to America, in kind of trying to find his way in the Wild Wild West. He wandered on foot from town to town and learned lessons and imparted wisdom on his way. The whole backstory thing, I don't think is going to fit, just because Chinese Shaolin culture doesn't fit one-to-one with the Khajiiti culture. And there are certain aspects of Khajiiti culture and Khajiiti personality that don't really jive with the whole Shaolin thing. But the way I'm thinking of it, okay, another piece of background here is that Jocasta is a student of the Gout Fang martial art. And there are a number of different martial arts that a Khajiiti monk can subscribe to, but this particular one is very nebulous. It has a lot to do with flowing chaotic energy and how to harness that. And every single aspiring master of the Gout Fang, their path to progression is different. So I'm thinking at some point, Jagasta's master taught him the basics of hand-to-hand combat and some, very general, non-specific spirituality things, how to meditate, how to fully sense the world around him, things like that. And we'll explore those as the episodes continue, as the series go on. But once he progressed to a certain point, I'm thinking that Jagasta's master sent him on a sort of walkabout adventure to find his own way to mastery of the Gout Fang. He sort of wandered his way into Skyrim, wasn't really aware of the civil unrest going on here. He sort of had his nose to the ground and his head in the skies, just looking for anything that would give him a clue as to his own spirituality, his own progression in his chosen way of life. Hey Simpa, good to see you made it. We're just going over some backstory and direction for Jagasta here, monk of the Gout Fang. So yeah, as I said, the Gout Fang has a lot to do with harnessing the chaos of flowing energy and finding your own way to mastery of all things spiritual, martial, just the way to live your life, I suppose. So I think I would like the pace and the tone of this series to kind of match the old Kung Fu series. So I think we're going to be focusing on short little storylines here that, he's going to be wandering from place to place. He's going to look for work, coin to pay for food and shelter. He's going to learn about the people in each place. He is going to try to provide some sort of justice to situations of unjust Everybody wants kung fu fighting. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I really have no idea. I don't have like a storyboard or any kind of set beginning or end, but I think this sort of structure lends itself to wandering around randomly and just making shit up as we go. So yeah. One thing that I want to do is, I guess the fur armor does kind of fit a wandering vagabond, but I would like to head down to the Divine Elegance store and kind of find a set of robes or something that look a little more monkish. And I don't foresee armor being a big part of the progression of this character, so I don't really feel bad about sort of consoling in a set of robes that work a little better. One stipulation is that it has to be light armor, because in Ordinator, unarmed combat is scaled according to light armor skill. So that's going to provide both our offense and our defense. So I'll see if I can find a good set of light armor, and if we don't, then I can check out the Nexus or whatever and see what we can find. But yeah, I don't feel like that would be cheating at all, just because, you know, I'm not at this level. Even the highest, you know, having dragon hide armor is still going to be really not that beneficial to us until we at least get some perks in light armor anyway. I just kind of want to refine the look of Jagasta as we figure out more about his character. So what time is it here? It is almost 2 o'clock in the morning, so we're going to need to get some rest. I know that the Khajiiti revere the moons, but at least in Skyrim, I haven't seen any evidence that they are actually nocturnal. They will do well during the nighttime, more so. Let's see, can you get a room for me? Okay.
Sure thing. It's yours for a day.
Okay, this is another quality of life mod that I really adore. So this mod allows you to tell them, don't worry, I know where the room is. You don't have to show it to me. You don't have to wait for them to kind of walk you over to the room every single time. The downside of this is I don't actually know what room. I'm guessing it's this one, or it might be the one across the way too. Yeah, so I don't think I want to go the full nocturnal route with this character. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But he did just have a near-death experience. He had to do a whole lot of running, a whole lot of scurrying, and had to deal with a whole lot of stress, so we're going to get a lot of rest here. That should put us about midday when we actually wake up. Hopefully this weather is clear. Heard somebody screaming in here. What's going on? Oh, is that a ghost? Just chilling over there in the corner?
Mara have mercy, that gave me a fright.
You mean that ghost over there? Is that why you're screaming?
There's a ghost just wandering around my inn like it owned the place.
Could I get some water, please?
Of course.
So you said you saw a ghost. When did this happen?
Yes. I've heard stories that old Walden was haunted, but no one's seen a ghost here since the Great War. He's from the battle, I just know it. He's one of Tiber Septim's soldiers, back from the dead.
Interesting.
All right, then.
We kind of had to take a roundabout path around that conversation. In the vanilla game, you can really only rent a room from Adis here. And if you rent a room from her, she gives you the backstory on this room and how Tiber Septim stayed there. But that's not the path we took. We just rented a room, fell asleep, and woke up to screaming and a ghost.
Do you remember me now, Hjalti? Hjalti? Is that you? I've been waiting.
Hjalti? Who are you talking about?
You promised me, Hjalti. You promised that when we sacked Holden, you would make me your sworn brother. And I've waited. Even after the enemy's arrows dug into my chest and their hammers crushed my bones.
At least their arrows didn't dig into your head like they did mine.
Give me your sword, Hjalti, that we may become brothers, as you promised.
I can find your sword for you, although I have no idea where you left it.
I long to taste battle again.
So who are you and where are you from?
You don't remember me, Hjalti? 2 campaigns we served together. You saved my life time and time again.
Okay, so Jagasta has really very little, if any, knowledge about Tiber Septim, Hjalti, or Talos. It's not really an entity that made its way over to the Khajiit pantheon. It's mostly just a human thing. So he really has no idea what this ghost is talking about. He's assuming that he'll know Hjalti's sword when he sees it. But at the time he has no idea where to go or where to find this sword. So we've been in this inn for quite a long time. Let's go get some fresh air. Now this series is going to be a lot of wandering. Wow, it's still raining. Jagasta does not like to get wet. That's one thing. So he's not appreciating this weather. Although I feel like we need to meditate, just gather our wits about the last couple days here. Actually, the lighting's a little better. I kind of like the coloring on his face. It does look like his hair, the chops and the hair on the top and in the back, is a little dark for my taste, but we'll wait for some good sunlight here. Yeah, so this series is probably going to have a lot of wandering. It's going to be slower paced. This is going to be a challenge for me because I am kind of an old school gamer, all the way back to where games like really didn't have much of a story to speak of. Role-playing wasn't a thing outside of, tabletop games and stuff like that. So I'm going to kind of take this opportunity as a challenge to slow down my gameplay a little bit, take it a little more leisurely. There will be action sequences, a lot of kung fu fighting, as Simpa said. But it's going to be tempered with at least equal amounts of wandering, self-reflection, and pondering things like morality and spirituality and things like that. But yeah, this weather's kind of terrible, huh? One thing I want to see, okay, so we are a bit strapped for gold. That 127 gold is not going to get us very far. The Horker loaf did not fill us up. Probably don't want to drink our wine as soon as we get out of bed. So, I mean, once we...
Ah, a visitor. Old Holden Inn has hundreds of years of history.
Oh yeah, Simba. I live in one of the hottest deserts in the world, and I know your want for rain. I think we're in the midst of like a 30-year drought where I live. Yeah, I
Is
love
there
any amount of
something
rain,
for you?
even though Khajiit does not. Yeah. So what's on the menu?
Are you thirsty? Hungry? Both.
Well, that's one sultry barmaid, isn't it? Okay. Khajiit like sugary stuff, so we'll go for some apple pie slices there. Maybe something with some protein in it.
Until
That'll work.
next time.
For now. And that filled us up. So I guess we'll just pass the time. The rain is still coming down. We can hear it on the roof.
If you got the boon, put it up, and you'll have the fiercest warrior in all of Skyrim.
Okay, so this is another interesting NPC. Risk of forest fire. Yeah, I think we have like 3 or 4 at least wildfires raging in our county or in our state at least. Nothing too close to anything urban. Some smaller areas were evacuated, but wildfires are always a concern here. So yeah, this is another interesting NPC. So what brings you to Old Roldan?
What does it look like? I'm a sellsword. You hiring?
I might not be opposed to it, but I can't afford it. So you have anything else on your mind except for, fighting for money?
Yeah, there is. There's something that's been bothering me for some time now. It's kind of embarrassing to ask, though.
You can trust Khajiit.
Well, I guess it's better to ask a stranger. So I've noticed there's this thing the humans and elves do when they press their lips together. Usually with someone they like.
Oh boy. You mean kissing?
Is that what it's called? Well, in any case, I was wondering what that was like.
Yeah, I was wondering what that's like too. Khajiit does not quite have the lips for such a task, and I would imagine that the tusks on an orc would rather get in the way. But either way, I think my whiskers mixed with your tusks probably wouldn't be a great match, so I don't know if I like where this is going.
No, you fungus licker. I'm no developer. Just curious is all. Seeing that I can't exactly do the same. Not with these tusks in the way. I
Yeah.
was just hoping you could tell me what it's like. Or at least knew someone who told you.
Wow. Seeing as how this Khajiit probably has not kissed anyone, I think it would be hard to put into words.
So you're saying you don't know. Figured as much, but thought I'd ask anyway.
Okay, just out of curiosity, how much do you charge for your services?
I don't take coin. I just have one rule. I keep what I kill. If that works for you, then you have my steal.
Okay, so like I said in the last episode, playing on Legendary, one of the best things that you can do to balance that difficulty is to take a follower along, because they are just as strong as any enemy that you're gonna find. So this gives us a nice option. We can take her along if we want with us. I am going to take a rain check on that. Ooh, did the rain let up? I don't hear it. Okay, Asteria is the bard that we met earlier.
I fought by your side to take back the Reach from the savages.
We still have no idea what he's talking about. How about this kid? What's he doing here?
If you drink too much, you're out. No drunks.
Oh, don't worry about me, kid.
Golden Inn. Clean beds and strong drink.
You seem like you've grown up awfully fast for a child.
Watch your tongue, stranger. We don't take back talk in this inn.
Alright. Noted. Okay, so maybe... It doesn't seem like there's much work in this town. And it's not really much of a town anyway, it's just an inn out in the middle of nowhere. Who's this guy? So we might be on our way.
You should head on inside. Aldis or Scully can take care of you.
Well, the cloud cover is quite beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, so the weather's better. I think this Khajiit will take the opportunity to wander. So I believe... Okay. We came from this way, but we didn't come from the path. We came from off over there. And that's where that huge Forsworn encampment was. So we would like to try to avoid that if possible. Well, there's something interesting out there. Sort of a watchtower. Being from out of town, Jagasta probably doesn't have much knowledge of the Dwemer either. So looking at that, he wouldn't likely know what it is. He might be curious about it, but I don't think he's curious enough to want to cross an entire gorge to get there. So we have another civilized building over here. Oh, hey Strudel. Didn't see you pop up there, sorry. Didn't miss a whole lot. We got some quality of life things. I set up my hotkeys a little bit. I did go over the backstory of Jagasa a little bit. He is a traveling monk from elsewhere. He is a monk of the martial art Goutfang. He is pursuing progression in his way, on a bit of a walkabout that his master sent him on after he stopped progressing in the basics that the master was trying to teach him. And so, yeah, he's on a bit of an Australian type walkabout, trying to discover his spirituality and his relationship with the world. So, Divine Elegance. Let's see if we can find a good set of monkey robes here. Monk-ish. Not monkey robes.
Yes? Looking to protect yourself or deal some damage?
And this is going to be kind of non-canon here. I don't mind finding a set of robes here that might look good for a monk and just kind of either consoling in the money. That's not bad, actually. To buy it or just consoling in the set itself. But I do have to stipulate that it's light armor because that is what controls our unarmed damage and our protection. I do like this. I don't know about the blue color, but that does look like it would fit a traveling monk quite well. That is the Avaloc set. I did use that set for Alucel, which was my season 2? Or was it season 4? Which was the Ghosts of Yore season? I did use him for that, or you did use that robe, at least briefly, for that character. It's one of my favorite playthroughs of all time, by the way. I might have to revisit that character at some point. It's not a bad looking set right there, but it's not quite as monkish as I'm looking for. That's a little more cleric looking. That might work for a monk. That is the Olgierd armor. I like the brown a little better. If I could find a brown set of the Avalok armor, that would probably be ideal. I haven't seen any yet, though. Although I really don't mind the blue. That's pretty nice too. Riddle Master? That kind of goes along with the Riddle Thar aspirations, huh? Might try a couple of these. Rough leather armor. This is a nice set too, but it's just not going to go with this character, I'm afraid. It's more of an assassin type thing, less robes, more agent type thing. I like these hoods. It kind of reminds me of the Ranger hood from Immersive Weapons, or Immersive Armors. If it doesn't clip too harshly with whatever robe set I choose, that would probably be pretty cool. Looks like they have some standard light armor stuff here too. Let's take a quick look at some of the other vendors here. They might offer something a little bit different.
Need something?
Looks like mostly unarmored versions of the same stuff that we saw. Yeah. So let's try a couple of those sets that we saw over here. The Avalok armor.
Yes? Take a look.
The Riddle Master armor. And that hood I liked as well. And if anybody has any suggestions for a good monk type set of robes that are light armor, please do, post them either on Discord or in the comments or wherever else so that I can see them. I would like to check them out. Okay, so we're going to try this one. We're going to need... What is the base ID for gold? It's like either 1 or it's F or something like that. Does anybody know off the top of their head? Oh, so Bayofish, yeah, great minds think alike, huh? It's F or A? F? Yeah, okay. I thought F sounded familiar. Watch me end up with like 1,211 lockpicks or something like that. There we go. Alright. So now if these don't work out, instead of selling them and getting the money for them, I'll probably just drop them on the floor and disable. Thanks for... Oh yeah, I almost did end up with lockpicks if I would have went with A, huh? Thanks for verifying, Magus. Okay, so the Avalock, I don't really like the hood that goes with it. Doesn't really look like there's a color that goes with that set of robes that I got anyway. Okay, let's go ahead and add in the boots here. And the gloves. What else are we looking at? The black doesn't fit him. It looks really, really damn cool, but it doesn't fit him. A little too swashbucklery, although that's a cool set too. It's a little too skimpy for Jagasta's taste. Although for what it's worth, I think he could rock the hell out of something like this. Traveler's robes in immersive armor. Yeah, I could change it in the CK. If I find something that works really well, it's easy enough just to open up the CK and change it or copy it or whatever. And that's in yesterday's stream. That I could look and see what that looks like in action, I guess. Or I could just console it in here. Alright, the Olgierd stuff I did like as well, but I think that there was a brown set that I liked better. Yeah, well, let's just add it. Yeah, again, I'm not sure. I love the set. I'm just not really sure about the color. We'll see. I'll make sure we get the boots and the armor there too. We don't need the ornate stuff. Oh, I never actually bought the robes, did I? That's one unintended side effect, is that my speech is going up, but that's alright. We don't need the rings. Oh, we already got those. Did we get the boots? Yeah, well. And I think we need the hood as well. Okay. Nothing ornate, nothing with pirates, nothing with hair, although that would be hilarious. Radovid armor. It's black, which I don't care for this character. No. The Riddle Master stuff I did really like too. So let's add all this stuff in too. And then we'll have a bit of a runway show. Oops. You know, I think it's a shame that they have riding hoods, but they don't have any little red ones. Just my thoughts. These are the things that go through my head while I'm playing the game, unfortunately. Not really too interested in like a full... Oh, I got a snort out of strudel. I got a groan out of wind, so those are the two reactions I'm going for there. Not really into the full cloak. I like a hood. I think the robes kind of do better without the cape on the back. And this was the hood that I liked, so let's see if we can make that work too. Ooh, this is a cheap one. Okay, so we're still at 80 gold. That's good. Anything that we don't like, we can just drop on the floor and disable them, and we won't have to resell them. Let's find some good lighting here. Not great. Maybe in front of the fire? This looks a little brighter over here. Yeah, okay. I also want to, now that we have some better lighting, I want to tinker with his hair color too. Let's do that first, just because that might color my opinion on the rest of the ensemble here. And one thing that I realized when I went back and rewatched the stream from last time that I did is I removed the moon puss from his name. How could I do such a thing? Okay, so we are in the race menu now. Let's... Did I change the preset? He was preset 2, right? Yeah, that looks better, and I have to redo all that crap again. Which is fine. We'll keep the war paint on him. I liked the fiery sunburst eye color that we came... yeah, was it this one? Yeah, I like that one. And I didn't like the mustache, even though the Fu Manchu kind of goes with the Kung Fu theme. Just don't like it for him. And the hair. One single ponytail instead of all the braids I think works pretty well. There's the facial hair. Now let's go with a hair color that kind of meshes well with the rest of his color scheme there. That doesn't look too bad. Kind of a bright blonde there. Almost gray, though. Not a whole lot of color choices for a Khajiit, unfortunately. This one looks a little brighter, a little more vibrant. I like that. The Great White Tiger Lao. Yeah, is that Kung Fu Panda? I might have to rewatch that too. Yeah, okay, I like it. Finish and name your character. Yes. Oh boy, gotta disable the controller. It doesn't always do that to me. I wonder why it's doing that now. Jagasta. The Moon Puss. I don't know if the name or the title, The Moon Puss, actually fits with the new tone of the series now, but I kind of got to keep it in there for posterity. Legacy reasons. I don't know, do you think the light hair makes him look a little older than he is? He should be young, but I don't really see any other hair color that would fit too well. If there are any suggestions, please let me know. But let's get started with this fashion show. I do like that. The tailor was gracious enough to cut a tail slit for us. And I actually like this color scheme with the lighter colored hair. Oh, yeah, yeah. Taifu. I do remember that. That had some pretty cool art associated with it. Killed all the tigers except Tai, who was saved by a panda monk. Lo Ping. Nice. I wonder if that helped it inspire Kung Fu Panda, actually. Probably did in some way. Okay, I do really like this, but I want to see the rest of them too. How does this look with the gloves? I do really like the gloves. And the boots. That looks pretty awesome, actually. How does it look with the hood? The hood itself, well, it only clips when he turns his head, which I can live with. We got some clipping with the feathers on the side there. It's not terrible, but not ideal. Might have to figure out some other hood situation. I wonder if the Ranger hood from Immersive Armors would help with that. It seems to have a little wider of a mantle. Oh, Lo Ping. Big Trouble in Little China was Lo Pan. David Lo Pan is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love those sci-fi action movies from the 80s. Weird Science. It's not really an action movie, but also one of my favorites of all time. No horseshit, Jack. I do like the hood. Doesn't quite mesh well with the robes. Let's go on to the next set, shall we? The Olgierd stuff. This one looks a little fancy for my tastes. And a little effeminate, too. Maybe just the deep V. It doesn't look bad. He is showing off some cleavage there, isn't he? I don't really like the rolled sleeves. The robes themselves aren't terrible. They do kind of fit a monk persona. Even with minimal clipping, I found it's normal. Try craftable monk hoods. LE mod. Standard wizard colored hoods. Olgierd, is that a Witcher character? I've only played the first and the second one. I've only played through them once, so not all the names are familiar to me. But to be able to pull something like this off, he must have been one sexy bastard. I have a feeling I might like this one the best. Let's see how that turns out. The Witcher 3. Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. Hearts of Stone. Well, now that CD Projekt Red has given me a little more time to get back to The Witcher 3, I doubt that I'll be able to, go all the way 100% through it, but now that they've given us a little more time before Cyberpunk comes out, maybe I'll have time to look into it. My backlog is much bigger. Yeah, I kind of figured that like a lot of these, most of them are from The Witcher. This one's just a little leathery and a little too clean and refined. I thought I was going to like this one the best. I kind of don't like how the texture is stretched that wide either on the arms. I thought I was going to like this one the best. Let's see how the Olgierd... That works well with... That actually works really well with the hood, doesn't it? I still don't really love the rolled up sleeves, though. If I could find a pair of gloves... This one's growing on me with the hood. I wonder how the other... These are going to be shorter. Oh, that's the same ones. There does seem to be a bit of a seam between his forearm and his hands there. I don't know if you can tell. Probably not a deal breaker, but these kind of look like fighting gloves a little bit more. This armor, Simpa, is the Olgierd robe armor from Divine Elegance, from the Witcher series. Riddle Master Gloves. We're getting there, I think. We're getting there. The Riddle Master boots I actually don't mind with this either. The gloves I don't love with this. Everything else seems to go pretty well. I might consider clipping down the chops too to get it to clip less with the hood. Yeah, we got to figure out the glove situation. Let's see here. There might be some gloves from other sets that we haven't looked at yet too, which work well. I like the size of these. They do seem to have some weird shape around the wrists, but I actually don't mind that. I do not have Legacy of the Dragonborn installed. That's a big thing that would have really completely restructured my entire load order, and I'm not ready to do that yet. I mean, I love the mod. I love everything that it adds to the game. I'm just not ready to scrap everything and start over, you know. Let's see what else we have. These ones aren't bad. These are the ones that go with the set, right? Yeah. No, I don't like the hood that goes with it. I do like this one much better. I think we're onto something here. The sleeves, I'm still not crazy about. I wouldn't say they're growing on me, but they're bothering me less. I think this set does enough other things right that I'm willing to deal with it. How are the boots? This one goes a little better color-wise. These ones look a little more monk-ish. I might actually go with these ones. Those look a lot like a Shaolin pair of footwear with the ropes. Okay, let's nix the chops there. Sorry, just trying to get caught up on the chat there. Let's find our fiery eyes again. Yeah, without the hood, it kind of looks like he's wearing a dress. Which, you know, to each their own. I'm not going to judge anybody for doing that if they want to, but I don't think that really fits the character of Jagasta too much. Let's see, we got our fiery eyes back. And a monk might have very, very short hair now that I'm thinking of it. This is the one that we originally had. Might just go with that. I would think that in the monastery they would keep it pretty shorn, but from the TV series, if Olgierd could pull it off, Jagasta could too. No, just fists only. Nothing, no kind of accoutrements or anything on the fists, except for, you know, just light armored gloves. I am running animated armory, so he could use claws, I think would work, but that would not be unarmed in the ordinator light armor tree. That would be one-handed. I think they're considered daggers. An amulet, we could do that. But I think with the hood, he'll look fine. You know, at some angles, it doesn't look too bad. The open neck, and most of the time we're going to be wearing a hood anyway, just because I think it kind of completes the monk look a little better. But yeah, as I was saying, in the Kung Fu series, he kept his head shaved while at the monastery, but his hair grew out once he left. So we could go with some hair, maybe. I don't mind this, but I do want to lighten it up to match the rest of them. Actually, the red kind of goes nicely with the brown of his face. And I know Strudel loves the redheads. So I don't think she would oppose it. I kind of like that. Oh, don't deny it. Andante, Brian. Oh, there was nothing vain about it. I think you just have a thing for redheads. That's all I said. Okay. That works for me. Well, do I like the lighter color? Or do I like the red? I think the red is more youthful. A little more vibrant. We'll go with the red. Oh, he does? I don't know why I'm picturing him with red hair. Maybe just seeing Brynjolf in the pictures with him all the time. Okay. I think the face looks pretty good there. I think we need to add to Baofish's list of ideas and upcoming... Ooh, what are they doing back there? You guys have customers. You can't just do that during business hours. Oh my god. Jagast, I can't even bear to look. This version monk eyes. Alright, let's get here we go. Let's see how that meshes with the hood. Whoa. You know what? I think we got a winner. I like what I see. And Kodak moment. There we go. Okay. See how he looks in action. I saw Magus saying something about the punch versus the claw swipes. Does look like he's claw. I actually don't really mind that. I don't think I mind that. We are going for a more kung fu style sort of combat aesthetic, I guess. But I think that for like a Khajiit centered martial art, that they would probably involve their claws, since it is a natural weapon that they can have access to at any time. And there are techniques in Shaolin Kung Fu that that are more of a claw swipe than they are a punch. A lot of them, actually. So that works for me. Yeah, cross and jab. Does that overhaul like the entire punch animation for both sides? Is it more like an animation overhaul for punches and unarmed? I think I would be more likely to use that for a human monk unarmed character, but I actually really like this for the Khajiit. Okay, I like it. Oh, more rain, huh? But at least now we have a hood to keep the water from getting in our ears. Awesome. Okay, so now I just have to do the spring cleaning here of just getting rid of all this stuff we're not using. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the fur armor out as well. Make sure I can actually select this stuff. I think I'm selecting the fog here, or some other kind of ambient thing in the air. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, there we go, we're good. I don't want to earn money on any of this stuff. Yeah, I think he looks great too. Thank you. I think we did a great job getting the aesthetic down. There is a certain feeling that you get when you settle on a look for your character that just clicks. I'm kind of feeling that right now, to be honest. Getting a little giddy about it. Alright, we're all cleaned up. Ooh, we got some weird artifacting there. Interesting. Oh, forgot about the Avalok gloves. Okay, I think we're all set up. The rain stopped. There's a lot of fog, which I don't think Jagasta minds too much. As long as he's not getting rained upon. As long as the moon puss doesn't get douched, we're all good. Alright, so yeah, I think we have most of the setup complete. We might be ready to actually start playing this game, I think, right? Yeah, Decibel. Decibel. Yeah, I'm really digging the robes. The patterns on there are very monkish. I like it a lot. And sort of the hanging tassels. The jewelry is a little ornate for this character, I think, but it's not bad. I don't mind it. Still not in love with the rolled up sleeves, but I think it might be growing on me. Just a bit. I think if he's going to spend some time digging his claws into the flesh of his enemies, he might not want to be getting blood all over his sleeves, all over his robes, so that makes a certain amount of sense. If he rolls them up, he can just clean off his gloves instead of having to clean up his entire ensemble, you know? Ominous beginnings. Balefish, I didn't know you could play this game. Yeah, I know. Modding Skyrim is a special addiction all of its own. It's very easy to find yourself hooked on making it perfect through the creation kit and other mods and not actually ever play the game, or at least in any kind of meaningful playthrough. I gotta say, while I have fallen into that trap a little bit, I do really love still just playing the game. One of my favorite things to do. Now, I'm kind of conflicted. Because I think that Jagasta would be very curious about what he is seeing over here across this little ravine. But I know that there are much more Forsworn over there. And I also know that... Ooh, what's that? Now that's something that Jagasta would be much more curious about. I know that Jagasta is not ready to take on those foes. And from this distance, these look like ancient Nordic ruins. There's not really a whole lot in the way of Forsworn imagery over there. So he might go check that out. Maybe. I don't know. Shrine of Magnus. Almost as good as our own Magus, except he's got an extra N put in there for some reason. Although I gotta say, I'm not sure that our Magus is quite as good at the man spread. I don't know. I don't know him that personally. But this is quite an epic man spread. I don't want to make assumptions about people, but... A really wide man spread and a really long sword. There's a lot of imagery going on there. There's also a lot of valuable stuff over here. Jagasta will err on the side of respect to any deity that he might come across. Khajiit generally as a people have a predisposition toward greed, or maybe not greed, but just really liking shiny things and riches. Magus's man spread is epic, and he never wears pants. Good to know. And okay, this chat is getting a little unruly. Right. Now I always thought, just based on Magus's personality, that he might sport quite the man spread, but I didn't want to make assumptions about people that I've never really met in person. So good to know that my assumptions were correct in this case. Yeah, so Khajiit likes shiny, clinky things, but I think Jagasta, as far as he's concerned with money and stuff, he's not greedy. He doesn't really see much of an inherent need for money as long as he's got food and shelter, place to rest, and something to keep him busy, something worthwhile. I think he's going to be pretty satisfied. That said, a lot of the gold that we make on our journeys and stuff, I will be trying to make it. I will be actively pursuing gathering gold, but really more so just for training. The skills that I'm going to focus on in training are going to be light armor, of course. And the light armor trainers are, I think, Scouts Many Marshes in Windhelm. And Grelka in Riften. And Nazir in the Dark Brotherhood. I don't see this character going Dark Brotherhood, even if it means getting access to a master level trainer. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Dark Brotherhood for good guys is something that I would consider if I hadn't started this playthrough yet. I don't. Something about it strikes me as something that's probably not safe to add mid playthrough. I know it changed a lot of the quests and everything. But it would be nice to have access to a master level trainer. I wonder how hard that would be to change in the creation kit, just to change Grelka to a master level, or Scouts Many Marshes actually would probably be a better candidate for that for this character. It might be quite easy, and if it is, then that might be worth doing. And the other skill that I'm probably going to be doing a lot of training in is pickpocket, because I do like the concept and the I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Words are hard when you're streaming. The promise of being able to disarm people. It seems like a very kung fu thing to be able to do. And I think Silda in Windhelm would be a great candidate as far as trainer for him for that. The master level trainer is in the Thieves Guild. I'm kind of conflicted on whether or not he would join the Thieves Guild. As I said, he's not really the greedy type. And a lot of what the Thieves Guild does is a bit repulsive to people who have a stronger sense of justice and morality. There is a bit of code of honor involved in what they do, especially when it concerns Mercer, who has no honor. But a lot of things they do as far as shaking people down and stealing things and things like that just do not fit with Jagasta's persona, I think. Getting a bit hungry. Do we have any food left? No, we do not. Does anybody know with I need, if you eat a bunch of juniper berries, it will actually sate your appetite? Might be able to find like a squash plant or something too. Ooh, mud crabs. Okay. Let's test out these claws, eh? Oh, okay, that's the ritual stuff. Alright, we gotta come up with some kind of ritual or mechanic, roleplay mechanic for that as well. Ooh, that hurt. There's something about Jocasta in his spirituality, especially as a disciple of the Gout Fang style. In being able to harness flowing energy from the world. I'm kind of the mind that at some point he will tap into something spiritual. Maybe like, and not like religious spiritual, but actually like spiritual as in spirits. Kind of the flow of energy from one plane of existence to the next. We can do something with that, with this ritual stone thing. And that kind of ties in with his infinity for Kinnereth, who is BFFs with Alkosh. Because in Khajiiti religion, Kinnereth actually kind of acts as Arche. Kinnereth guides spirits to the afterlife. So it stands to reason that a devout follower of the gods, maybe someone with an affinity toward Kinnereth, would be able to communicate with the spirits that are in transit to the afterlife. And the spirits may sense Jocasta's good intentions and come to fight for them. I think it depends on if I need to text the juniper as ingredients or snack. I might be able to actually set that. Kanarthi, thank you very much. I did do the research on it. I just couldn't remember off the top of my head how they pronounce Kinnereth. So yeah, there's that, and I think that also helps us with the Conjure Familiar as well. Once he gets a little versed in summoning that thing, the Familiar that Unbound gave us, we'll be able to conjure that on command, sort of request its help when we need it. And I think that can be picked up from the same Kanarthi stream to the afterlife. Now, I think... Alright, so the familiar would probably be a white soul, and the people would be a dark soul, or a black soul. I don't know how the Khajiit, if the Khajiit separate the two like most do. That would kind of imply that animals go to a different place than people do. So anyway, I think for role-playing purposes, that kind of fits the bill. That covers it pretty nicely. And this is a strange plant making a strange noise. Jocasta, being a curious kitty, would definitely be interested in that. Let's go ahead and... Oh, now we're really hungry. Okay, that took us a while. Oh, I didn't even realize there was a wolf over here too. Awesome. So one thing I'm going to do, okay, so there's a strong hunting culture within Khajiiti life. I can imagine them ritually eating raw meat as part of the kill. And as such, I feel like they would be more or less immune to diseases from eating raw meat. So I think what I would like to do is head into I Need and turn off diseases from raw meat, if I can do that. Maybe in the MCM there's an option for it. Doesn't seem to be an option for it. Oh well. I think for now it's okay if it got late again, didn't it? I think for now it's okay if I do contract a disease from eating raw meat. Just to console in a potion of cure disease. Yeah, and I have contracted stomach rot. Yeah, I didn't see it under advanced, unless anybody else did. That's not a bad idea. Is that under Winter Mist? Necklace of Disease Immunity. The enchant is vanilla. Okay, yeah, that makes a certain amount of sense. I knew that there was a vanilla effect for it. I didn't know that there was an actual enchantment for it. How does that look? Perfect, you can't see it at all. I'm okay with that. Alright, so it is getting late. It's kind of more of a dusk setting here too, so I have the brightness level on my EMB set to the brightest on interiors and exteriors, but during dawn and dusk it still does get really dark. So Mr. Curious Whiskers here still wants to see what this is all about. Now, this probably isn't going to go too well. I'm not going to feel the need to be adamant about fighting all of these people. But I feel like Jocasta... Oh, wait a second here. What the hell just fell? Was that a ritual thing? Ugh, yeah. So Night Eye is useful, but with all the fog, it just reflects so brightly. That might be even worse than the darkness. Okay, so he's seeing the totemic symbols that he saw before. These are a little more... a little more gruesome with the dead animal heads than what he saw before, but he gets distinctly the same feeling he got from the last place. Oh, okay. There's the crab and the wolf, so it means we've entered a hostile event, it seems like. He gets distinctly the same feeling from these totems that he got when he ended up with an arrow in his head, so... Or, as we've decided it was, a strange totemic brain poker. So, he's not going to feel the need to risk his life again after his experience last night with the Force Worm. Now this series is going to have a lot of just kind of wandering and finding curiosities and exploring things. A lot of traveling the roads, but as I said, I am running immersive world encounters, immersive patrols and things like that to liven up the roads a little bit, so it's not just going to be me walking and talking the entire time. Who is this? A Stormcloak leader.
If you know any true sons and daughters of Skyrim, tell them to head to Windhelm. Ulfric Stormcloak wants to see them.
Nice hair for what many consider a more barbaric member of the rebellion. Alright, so let's see, how long have I been streaming? Almost 2 hours again, so I think we're pretty close to a point where I can call the stream. I think Jocasta does want to see, he's probably going to meditate on this Magnus Shrine. He's not going to take on Magnus as a deity to worship mainly at this point, but I think as he sees like these shrines, he will pay his respects and try to glean any kind of spiritual info. So the architect of creation, Magnus left the sun in his wake, through which magic enters the world. A worshipper spells cost less magicka, but magicka only regenerates while meditating. That would kind of fit a little bit. Practice magic successfully while meditating. Safeguard the Eye of Magnus and create enchanted items. I like only being able to regenerate magic while meditating. That kind of fits his character a little bit. And spells costing less magicka would give us access to the familiar, but I just don't see him taking on this as a main deity to worship. It just occurs to me now that we didn't go through all of the passive abilities that that Jocasta has, and that might help give us some more direction or whatever. So yeah, we are Worshipper of Akatosh through Winter Sun. Oh, you thought Magnus was a complete blast to worship? Yeah, actually, I've not been disappointed with... Would also fit the Atronach stone with Andromeda. Yeah. I actually have not been disappointed with any of the deities to worship using Winter Sun. I've been very impressed with all of them. So yeah, obviously he's a worshipper of Akatosh, which gives him a buff against dragons, which we may or may not ever use. Feline agility, so we move 15% faster at all times, which makes us a champion yeeter. We sprint 40% faster, but expend 15 more stamina per second. So it helps us get out of danger, but we can't sustain that speed for very long. The Ritual Stone, which we've already seen the effects of, it gathers up the vengeful spirits and calls them back to help with enemies. Prowl. This one's kind of fun. This is added by Imperius, which is an Ision's racial overhaul. So this helps us with sneaking. We're already muffled right out of the gate. But what's really cool is, if we go into sneak and we jump, we do a little bit of a lunge, a quick silent lunge. And you can do a power leap with weapons sheathed for 60 stamina. So that gives us a little bit of a movement option there. I thought it kind of did damage like a werewolf lunge, but it doesn't look like it does. But we do have access to our dodge roll when we do have a weapon unsheathed or our fists out. And we do have access to our prowl. Ew, something's getting in the way here. Well, it doesn't look like it works 100% all the time. Anyway, we do have access to that as another form of covering ground quickly in stealth. Resist disease and... Oh, that must have been a blessing from the Shrine of Magnus that we had. So we could have actually activated that shrine and then ate all the crab meat that we wanted, and we would have been fine, most likely. But as Magnus suggested, we do have full resistance to disease. That's a little heavy-handed. Maybe I can take that off and put that on when I want to eat some raw meat. I'll also look into settings and stuff to see if I can set that correctly so I don't have to do all that business. Oh, here's the blessing of Magnus as well. 10% chance to absorb a hostile spell and recharge your magicka. So yeah, this is very Atronach stone-ish. Stamina regeneration from the mud crab stuff. Okay. Raise your character level, absorb dragon stones or dragon souls, and never openly break the laws of Skyrim. So without absorbing dragon souls, our progression in our status as a worshipper of Akatosh or Alkosh in this case is going to be a bit stunted. So that's fine. And everything else just comes from my need. So yeah, that gives us kind of an option there. Pounce option, which is nice. And of course the bonus to the unarmed attacks, which we will be taking full advantage of. Okay, but yeah, I think that about does it for this episode. I know it's a whole lot of setting up, very little actual gameplay. I can enchant that as well and re-enchant with less than 100%. If you want a chance for that too. Yeah, that's not a bad compromise. I just need to do a little bit of research, I think, and see if there is a way just to remove disease effects from raw food. Sorry, just catching up on the chat here. Yeah, okay, so I think that's about it for this episode. Yeah, like I said, a whole lot of setup, not a whole lot of gameplay. Next episode, definitely, for sure, will focus more on the wandering travels of Jagasta and sort of personal insights and spiritual and moral lessons that he can learn, either from his current experiences or remembering back on his past. But yeah. Beautifully done, thank you. Oh, thank you, Magus. I'm trying. It's fun to share. Strudel likes getting to know him a little bit beforehand. Yeah, thanks. I think it's worth the time and the effort to get to know your character before you go on an actual full-on playthrough with them. You get a little more out of the journey that way. The Wind, you're welcome. Thank you for joining. It was a good time. Bayo Fish, thank you as well. We did learn about a lot about him, didn't we? Hopefully we'll learn some more. All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining. And I will see you next time. See ya, Haster.